Detective Kirsten now has to go back inside her box because I can't do any more detecting until tomorrow. Hello my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten and we're at the start of another weekly vlog, and I'm very excited because tomorrow I'm going to be starting my buddy read with Christina. We are buddy reading The Bullet That Missed by Richard Osman. This is the third book in his Thursday Murder Club series. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to get back to these characters, and actually buddy reading it with Christina is going to be so good because she is the reason why I even got into this series anyway. So yeah, very excited. The plan is we're going to be reading 50 pages a day starting tomorrow, so I don't even know how long this book is actually. So it looks like it's just over 400 pages. So we'll see how we get on with this. It might go on to a bit of a longer, like maybe into next week. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that, but I'm very excited. Cannot wait to start this one. So this is going to be the book that I'll be reading at home during the week. And then I have work today, and I literally just wrapped up last week's vlog and a few moments ago, but the book I'm going to be bringing with me to work is Zelda by Nancy Milford. This is the non-fiction book about Zelda Fitzgerald, the wife of F. Scott Fitzgerald, and it's been really interesting reading. Very slow going because the text is absolutely tiny and the chapters are really long, but what I'm actually learning about Zelda is so interesting. Like, we've seen Zelda from learning about her parents, where they came from, to seeing how she was when she was younger, to being engaged with Fitzgerald, to now being married, and we're at the point now where they've been married for a few years, and you're seeing how everything's fallen apart. Like, it's such a toxic relationship. You're also seeing how Scott has taken credit for things that Zelda has written, how he uses her diaries and letters word for word in some of his books. Just a mess. And we're starting to see how Zelda is really starting to struggle with the pressure of everything, the pressure of having to maintain this image for Scott, to maintain this image for everyone actually, and she's just struggling so much with it all. That's where we're up to. I'm really excited to carry on. We're on part 3, chapter 10, and it's on page 147. This book, there is a lot of like notes and stuff in this one, but the actual non-fiction part of this is about 380 something pages long. So I'm about halfway, so I've got about 140ish pages to go, but I do imagine this is actually going to take me the next few days to actually get through, just because of how slowly I've been reading it. Again, not because it's badly written or anything like that. I'm finding it fascinating. There's been so many quotes and things that I want to underline in this. I haven't, because the text in it is just, it's too small. I feel like I would be crossing out lines above it. But yeah, really enjoying this one. I have got work for the next 3 days in the afternoon, so I'm going to be bringing this one with me, and hopefully by the end of that I will have this one finished. So these are the books we're going to be starting off with this week. I'm very excited for it, so I hope you're all doing well. A nice quick introduction. I will catch up with you very shortly to see how much of Zelda I actually get read. For now I need to start editing last week's vlog, get that all ready for you guys. But yeah, let me know what you're reading and the usual things that I say every single time. What are you up to? I hope you're doing well, you know, just let's have a little conversation. But yeah, okay, I need to get on with my day. I've got things to sort out before work, and I will catch up with you very soon. Future Kirsten popping in here from the very end of the vlog just to quickly talk about Magic Mind, because at the very end of this vlog I will have finished the 14 days of Magic Mind, and I've really enjoyed this challenge. I feel like it's made me just happier, more motivated. I feel like I've got so much more energy, and that is due to these little drinks. It's been great. These are, if you haven't seen my previous videos, they're little energy shots. They are filled with like matcha and lots of other goodness that works so well, and it's just like a natural replacement to caffeine, and it's been fantastic. Part of me working with Magic Mind was to also take part in their 14 Days of Magic challenge, where everyone like creates content around it and they donate money to the reforestation project of the Amazon rainforest, which I think is amazing. Part of that challenge is to do things to change, and my ones have been to cut back on coffee, to not have any of it, to take time for myself each day, and to write down 3 things that have been really positive from that day, and I've enjoyed all of it. I can say I have not had a drop of coffee for the last 14 days, and I've really not noticed it. In reality, I actually feel a lot healthier for it, and Magic Mind has been a great supplement for my coffee instead, because I would use coffee as a way to have an energy boost throughout the day because I'll get so drained, but then you have the crash, so I would need another one to compensate for that, and this just hasn't been the case. I have this about 2 hours after waking up each day, and I've just had a natural energy boost after taking it that then naturally peters off towards the end of the day when I normally be going to bed, and it's been so helpful, especially on those early shifts. I'm not gonna lie, helped me get through those. I've really enjoyed this challenge. I would highly recommend. I do have a discount code, so if you are interested you can use Readingearthnymph14 to get 20% off your order. I've loved this, so thank you so much to Magic Mind for working with me, for challenging me. I definitely feel better for it. Good morning. Sorry that this is going to be really shaky. I could not be bothered to set up my tripod. I've just got back from my partner's. I went to his after work, spent the morning walking the dog, and now I'm back. I do have work today though, so we're going to keep this brief because I also have a bit of reading I want to get done. But I read quite a decent chunk of Zelda yesterday, so I'm now up to chapter 14, page 223. Which is quite a decent amount. I didn't think I would get that much read. I now have about 160 pages to go. This has been a roller coaster, an absolute roller coaster. So we have, oh hang on, my arms are getting tired. I really need to work on being a bit more fit. At the start of this, where I first started yesterday, we had Zelda that had gone into a institute to help with her mental health because she had had a break and she wasn't doing very well. And so she went in there, and you saw her swinging emotions from her going from one instant blaming Fitzgerald, being really angry with him, to then the next instant loving him and showing how dependent she was on him. And even like the doctor's notes and stuff, you saw how much she was just swinging to and fro, but also how her love of dancing, she focused so much, it took so much out of her because she wanted to make something of herself, something that was separate to Scott. So you're seeing all of this from Zelda, but also you're having Fitzgerald writing letters to the doctors wanting to know when Zelda's going to be better so that he can send her his book for revision and get her opinions on it and stuff. And I'm just like, really? Is that really the important thing right now? And that was his sole focus, like when is she going to get better? And he actually uses parts of her actual break, parts of the letters that she sends him in his books. And I don't know, it just didn't sit comfortably with me. Eventually, Zelda gets out after being in there for 15 months and she does feel a lot better. But she goes on about the dependency that she has for Scott, how her sense of worth, everything comes from him. And for a little while, everything seems to be going well, but then she starts getting flare-ups of her eczema, and that's been known to be linked to her psychological well-being. Things just start going wrong, and in the end, she chooses to admit herself again, and that's where I'm up to. And it's just really, really interesting. You're seeing how toxic this relationship is. I mean, I've said that every single time, but it really is very toxic, and it makes for quite difficult reading at times. Even this part, so where I just left it, Zelda's gone back into, they call it like asylums and stuff, but she's decided to go to, she knows that she needs help, and so that's what she's done. But she's been writing a lot of short stories, and now she's wrote her first novel, and she sends this off to Fitzgerald's publisher before she shows him the story. Fitzgerald loses it. He goes mental. He has a go at the staff at the hospital and everything. And even the staff are taken aback with how difficult and rude he is over it, over the fact that she sent it without his approval. The fact that he didn't get to see it first, that it's in Zelda's name. Like, he was fuming, and I couldn't believe it. Like, it was actually horrible. Zelda had, for the first time, directly invaded what Scott considered his own domain, and the violence of his reaction was telling. He really was very angry, said how all of her stuff, like, she had taken from him, and she said, you know, okay, maybe one sentence, yeah, that was it. And she was like, I don't think it's going to be good, and she falls back into that whole thing of being like, but you're so much better than me and I can't compete and I don't want to bother you with it. And it's horrible. It's a horrible dynamic, and it does feel like Fitzgerald really does just use Zelda for his stories, and he's so angry that Zelda got a novel finished in a few months when he's been working on for years and he hasn't made any progress, and he fully blames Zelda for that lack of progress. Yeah, it's horrible. It's really, really quite horrible. So that's where I'm up to. I could have read more yesterday, but I felt like that was a really good point to leave it and just see the fact that Zelda admitted that she needs help. Zelda admits that they were both equally destructive, and that Fitzgerald's his alcoholism, because he is a complete alcoholic, does not help the situation, but Fitzgerald refuses to see that and blames Zelda for his drinking, even though he used to drink before he met her. Like, there's just a lot. There's a lot. And I feel like I've spoken for a long time about this, so we're going to put that one down, but I am planning to take this one to work and read more of that today. I'm really excited. I don't know if I'm going to get it all finished. I think 160 is a bit of a push, but I definitely think 80 pages and then finish it up tomorrow at work. That's going to be good. I'll be very happy if I get that done by Wednesday. That's the goal. For today though, I am so excited because before I go to work, I'm going to be reading The Bullet the Mist. I'm going to be reading the first 50 pages and I cannot wait. I'm so excited for this. So I'm going to do myself some lunch and then sit and read this before I have work. I can't wait. I'm so excited. And you know what? This is really good because it's a hardback and I'm not going to be taking it out the house with me. This is going to be forcing me every single day to take a break to read my 50 pages as part of the 14 Days of Magic challenge that I'm doing, which I've spoken about in previous videos, but all about giving myself a break from work, not just working my full-time job, but also YouTube work, because I find that I don't give myself a break. Whereas for the next 2 weeks, this is like the second week of it, I am giving myself that break and forcing myself to take a break, and this is going to work really well with that because every single day I will be taking an hour's break to read my 50 pages and I cannot wait. I'm so excited. But yeah, okay, I'm going to stop talking about the fact that I'm so excited and actually start reading this. So let's go do some lunch and let's read this. I have such high hopes. Like, I predict that this is going to be 5 stars because the other 2 have been. I really do think that this is going to be 5 stars. It may not be for everybody, but it is exactly the sort of cozy mystery that I love. I've finished Zelda and I'm really pleased that I read this because I think it's given me a lot of insight into the Fitzgeralds. also into F. Scott Fitzgerald's work, so The Great Gatsby, which is a book I want to reread, and the rest of his works, which I would like to get to as well. It's given me a lot of insight into how they were created, the fact that Zelda was so influential around these books and we don't really know much about her. It's not really acknowledged. Obviously Zelda herself and everything she goes through. The only thing that I can say made this longer in the second half to read was how repetitive in nature everything was. And that's not against Nancy Milford's writing at all, just the cyclical nature of Fitzgerald and Zelda together. Like, they were so bad together, and you just have this repetition of Zelda going into hospital because she can't deal with the pressure that F. Scott's putting on her. You have their jealousy towards one another, you have their hatred, and yes, love, because F. Scott does love her, but it's more that he loves the idea of her rather than who she actually is. And you just have this constant repetition of events that are just falling apart until eventually they are just so estranged and they can't make their relationship work. Like, they never could, but it's to the point where both of them admit this and know this, and then, you know, they both die. There were a couple of chapters on Zelda's works that she wrote, so Save Me the Waltz. Nancy Milford did a really good job of kind of pulling it apart and analysing different areas of it and showing us the different influences of her life with that book and everything. So I think, again, that's gonna be better when I get round to reading Save Me the Waltz. To understand it that much more, I think I'm going to have a much better appreciation. So I do think if you really like F. Scott Fitzgerald's works, then do give this a read, because I think it gives a lot of context to those books and I think you can get a better understanding of them. Or if you're just genuinely interested in Zelda Fitzgerald as a person, because she was a very interesting person, and the things that she had to do and the way that she dealt with things and then couldn't deal with things, like, it's all really interesting, and I think Nancy Milford does a really good job of portraying it all. And I do definitely think that I will be referring back to parts of this book when I get on with reading more of Fitzgerald's work and Zelda Fitzgerald's work. So I definitely think this is an interesting one to refer back to, but it is also very sad, and just the nature of their relationship is so toxic and depressing that that's very much what comes across. In a lighter vein, I have started The Bullet That Missed by Richard Osman. As we know, this is my buddy read for the week. We have been reading 50 pages a day, so we are up to chapter 20, page 101, which is actually part 2. I'm loving this book so much. It's so well done. It's got the great humour in it, and of course we're back with our characters, who I absolutely love. So you have the 4 main characters, which is Joyce, Ron, Ibrahim and Elizabeth. They're our Thursday Murder Club quartet. Like, they are amazing, and they are of course working on another murder mystery that they want to solve. And you do have the police department, Chris and Donna, who help with that, and they kind of always end up getting caught up with these 4, and they know they shouldn't, but they also can't help it, and it's so funny. And then you've got your other side characters like Bogdan and everyone. It's so good. I'm loving this book. I won't go into spoilers or anything of what this is, because it does continue on from the first 2 very well, but yeah, I'm loving it. It's so much fun, and it's been great chatting with Christina at the end of each day about what we're up to. Where it is at the moment, it is a bit of a cliffhanger, and I really want to know what's going on, so I cannot wait to read the next 50 pages for today. And yeah, it's so good. I'm also pleased that I'm taking my time with this, because this is a book I could easily binge read 100%, but I also feel like it just adds to it a bit more when you take your time. The anticipation to then get to it the next day, like, it's so good. Very much enjoying this one. But I do want to pick up another book, and as much as I am reading 50 pages of this a day, I do like to read a little bit more. I like to have a book with me whenever I go out and everything, and this one I won't be leaving the house. So I want to pick up another book. I do technically have The Professor by Charlotte Bronte, which I I would say in the middle of. I've literally read the first 28 pages of. But I'm really not feeling like a classic. I've read a lot of classics this month, and definitely doing the 24-hour readathon that was all about classics. And just in general, like I've read classics this month, and I really want to read something lighter. As much as I do have The Bullet That Missed, that is lighter and it is breaking up my reading, I want something that's a completely different genre, and I'm thinking to pick up a fantasy book, which I feel like I haven't done in a while. And I'm also debating, do I carry on with a series or do a reread? I asked my partner, he said reread, just to have a bit of a palette cleanser after reading the non-fiction and all the classic books and everything, and I do agree with him, but I don't know which one I want to reread. Like, there's so many good ones, so I'm like, what do I do? I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm definitely feeling a fantasy book, so I think that's what we're going to pick up next to go alongside The Bullet That Missed, just to have a book to take around with us. But yeah, kind of needing that little bit of a break with all the classics and stuff. Like, I do enjoy classics, but it's the same with anything. If you read too much of the same genre after a while, or at least for me, I always find I need a little bit of a change, a little bit of a book that's just completely different to what I've been reading. And the time is now. So yes, I've still got a classic murder mystery on my TBR to read, but again, I think I'm gonna leave it to one side and just have a different book between now and starting my November TBR, because I do have a week. So I think that's what we're gonna do, but I don't know what it's gonna be, so I guess we're gonna find out. For now, I actually need to film a video that includes all of these books, hence the mess. So I need to go on and do that, and then I'm not sure if I'm popping out today to meet up with my partner after work, because he's got work this morning, or tomorrow. It looks like it's about to pour it down. So I guess we're gonna see what happens. We're gonna find out together what on earth I actually read next and what I'm doing, but one thing I know I'm doing is filming this. I started filming and didn't actually press record. That's not going well, considering we're in Detective Kirsten mode. Like, hello. Anyway, as we know, starting again, that I am reading The Bullet That Missed by Richard Osman, and I am loving it. I've just read the 50 pages that I needed to read for today. So I'm up to chapter 31, page 154. And there's a lot going on, to the point where I've actually taken a few moments to make a mind map. And I want to talk about it, so I'm, you know, there's going to be spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled for this book, then skip ahead. I will have it up here saying spoilers, and obviously when I'm done. But there's a lot. There is so much going on. Oh, sorry. We have Bethany Waite, who has been murdered. That's the murder that our quartet are investigating, and they're trying to find out what on earth happened. But there was no actual body, and so for a lot of time I was questioning, well, is she even dead then if there's no body? Like, hello. Turns out she definitely is, because at a later point, I'm skipping ahead here, but Bethany Waite is definitely dead. We have Heather Garbert. Now, Heather Garbert is somebody that is in prison for the VAT fraud. They are like, well, did she kill Bethany then? Did she push her car over this cliff? But they don't know. So she's in prison. Now, our quartet know somebody that's also in prison, in the same prison, and so get her to talk to Heather to see, yo, did you kill Bethany? Unfortunately, shortly after this discussion where Heather does not give anything away, she winds up dead in the prison. So that's a dead end. Oh, pun. Not intended, but very good. So that's a dead end already. However, Heather's boss, Jack Mason, could be involved. And so they set out to investigate Jack Mason, everything around him, and he goes, you know what, yeah, VAT fraud, living in it, got loads of money. However, I did not kill Bethany. And he's like, I did not do this. However, I know she's dead. So he knows who's killed her. So it's definitely not Jack. So that makes me question, well, who is this killer then? Because I don't know. I've got no idea. However, there is some suspiciousness because while Bethany was working, she was getting bullied. She was getting a lot of like horrible little notes being left around and stuff. And the potential for person who's bullying her is this other person called Fiona. Once Bethany was out the way, Fiona then made it. She's doing really well for herself now. However, I feel like this is too obvious. I feel like that's a red herring. I don't think it's anything to do with Fiona. But somebody that is acting suspicious, I don't think she killed Bethany, but I think she knows a lot more than what she's letting on, is Pauline. Now, we meet Pauline quite early on in the book. She's the makeup artist for the reporters and everyone, because they're also TV news reporters. Anyway, so she knew Bethany and she knows a lot that's going on around it, but she does make a couple of comments like, well, the CCTV footage is blurry because there was somebody in the car with Bethany before it went over the cliff and they don't know who that is. And Pauline's like, yeah, well, it was blurry. And also another comment about the clothes that Bethany was wearing that day. It was very much like, yeah, very unusual. I wouldn't have worn those sort of things. It was just weird little comments that she's made. I should have made a note of these pages so I could actually tell you them word for word. But that's really unusual. So I feel like Pauline is suspicious. Pauline is on my suspicious list, but I don't think she's the killer. Now, alongside all of this, we also have Elizabeth being threatened. Now, Elizabeth is one of our main four. She is amazing, love her to bits, but she is being threatened. She is being told to kill this Viktor Ilyich, who I don't know why at all, but he's like a Russian mob boss, or was an ex-Russian mob boss, and is told, you've got to kill this person. If you don't, I'm going to kill Joyce. And we don't know the person that's threatening her at all. So who is this mystery person? Why do they want Viktor dead? How does that actually play into this? And does it have anything to do with Bethany? So I've left it down here on its own because I don't know if there's any connections at all. Could the person that wants Elizabeth to kill Viktor also be the person that's killed Bethany? Like, I really don't know. So I suppose actually this update was to say that I have no idea, but I'm loving this. And I think Pauline is suspicious. So that's where I'm at. I am loving chatting to Christine about this as well. It's been so good. But yeah, okay, well that's the spoilers over. We boiled it down to, I have no idea, but loving the journey. And my hair is a mess, but I am done with 50 pages. So unfortunately, Detective Kirsten now has to go back inside her box because I can't do any more detecting until tomorrow. But we have started another book, and that's the reread, which I've gone with A Court of Mist and Fury, because you know what? I was feeling it. And I don't really like A Court of Thorns and Roses. I find that one a bit boring. But this one, I do enjoy it, and it's been ages since I've read it. I say ages, probably like maybe a year and a bit. Yeah, I really felt like reading it. So I've decided to. I'm actually going to start annotating it. I haven't so far. I'll do a proper update of this tomorrow morning. But I'm up to page 66 and I want to go back and annotate parts of it and then continue on reading this tonight. But I'm also feeling like journaling. So I might do a bit of that first and then get back to that. But I'm so excited to see how my little mind map progresses because there is so much going on. Honestly, you guys, I love a murder mystery so much. This is so much fun. But yeah, anyway, okay, I'm going to leave you guys in peace and I'll catch up with you in the morning with how much progress I've made with Court of Mist and Fury and what it's actually about in case you don't know. And yeah, Detective Kirsten will be back at it tomorrow and we'll see. I will try and honestly keep the spoilers to a minimum from this point, but you know what, if there's interesting revelations to be made that I need to discuss, then that's going to be discussed. Otherwise, I'm going to try and keep it as no more spoilers and we'll just think. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know why I'm saying that. Anyway, it's a good book. I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying both my reads at the moment. And yeah, okay, I'm going to carry on with my evening and I'll see you in the morning. Good morning. It is 11 o'clock in the morning And you know what, I've had a productive morning. I can't complain. I've already edited a video, which is my November TBR, which will be out before this one. So that's edited, uploaded, ready to go. And I've also had a hospital appointment, which was just my yearly MRI scan, which I have to do. And that was fine. Mom came, actually, she gave me a lift to the hospital because it was quite early in the morning. But it was nice because we got there early, had a nice little cup of tea and had a little chat and everything. That was really good, actually. Then got back, did editing and stuff. So even though I've been up really early and I'm tired, one, that's good because I'm on earlies tomorrow. So best to get ready for being tired because it's going to happen for the next 2 days. But yeah. Productive morning. Anyway, the reason why I'm actually even more tired is because I stayed up late reading. As we know from the snippet that was just done, we know that I had a very good time with The Bullet That Missed, and I'm not going to get back into it because we had my thoughts already. But I did also start Court, Mist and Fury. Again, I mentioned that, but I didn't mention too much what this book is about. But last night I did get up to chapter 13, page 126, and oh, I just love this. It's so good. You know what, Sarah J Maas, is she the best writer? Hell no. But do I have such nostalgia for these books, these characters, her books in general, so I will always buy it? Yes. And you know what? It's fun. It's not something I need to focus on, and I just enjoy it so much. So this second book, we are following Feyre. Now in the first book, Feyre is human. She ends up getting involved with the Feywild, so you learn about the Feywild and everything that goes alongside that. There's a lot of different things going on in that, so you don't just have Fey, like there's shapeshifters, there's a lot that goes on. But she gets involved with all of that, ends up going through this series of trials, and you see at the end of the first book that she's made it through all the trials and that she's back with her Fey prince who she loves and everything. And then you have this book, and this book is really, oh, I should say that the first book is a bit like a Beauty and the Beast retelling. This one takes everything that she went through and shows how difficult it is. So this is one thing that I like about Sarah J Maas, is that she doesn't just have her characters go through something really traumatic like the trials that Feyre went through and then have them be absolutely fine and be like, oh yeah, I can totally deal with this. No, she actually explores it. So in this, she's really exploring how Feyre is just struggling, and Feyre even says, like, I am drowning, I cannot deal with this. And you see both parts with Tamlin, the fairy prince that she fell in love with, and Feyre, and how they are struggling with what they both went through and how they're dealing with it in very different ways. And also how Feyre comments on, when I first came here, yes, I needed this big strong person to look after me. I was starving, I was hungry, I was scared, but that's not what I need anymore. I don't need to keep being smothered. I cannot deal with that. She was stuck underneath a mountain. She cannot deal with being smothered and kept in and feeling like confined spaces. Like, she just can't do it anymore. She has that PTSD. And I think it's so good that we actually spend time. These first 100 pages, even where I'm up to now, is all about Feyre dealing, or the fact that she's not dealing with everything she went through, and the fact that not talking about it does not help. Like, pushing it underneath a rug does not help. That sometimes you need to be poked and prodded and pulled out. And you know what? The way that it's dealt with, like the way Feyre gets through it in this book, is not going to be for everyone. And she explores that even more with A Court of Silver Flames, showing that there are different types of trauma, different ways to deal with it. But in all of it, being alone and not talking about it just never helps. And I like that. I like the fact that we have so long with this, but alongside all of that, you do have more plot developments with a potential war and everything that happens with that. So you know what, I'm going to be honest, Feyre is not my favourite character. If you've been on my channel for a while, you've heard me say this. She's not my favourite. Rysand is not even my favourite, but I still really enjoy this book. Like, I still enjoy those moments together. I still love seeing them grow together. I love seeing the things that Feyre has to go through and how she does get through everything, and I think it's good. I think it's well done. And you know what, if you're looking for a fantasy book, this one you would kind of say is like new adult fantasy. Like, it's bridging that gap between YA and adult fantasy, and if that's what you're after, then this is a good place to start. But if you don't like the first book, you're not alone, so just bear with it. It does get better, which I don't I don't often say to people, like, I was actually having this discussion, I don't want to have to try and struggle through a really long book to then get to a good book just because it gets better. However, A Court of Thorns and Roses, the first book, is a lot smaller than this. It is not that big. It is like this big. So it's a lot easier to deal with, and it does a good setup for the world and what you're getting in for. But it does, the series, I'm going to say, like, it does get so much better. My series ranking for this, actually, you know what, that's probably a video I should do at some point, series rankings on the books. But it would be A Court of Silver Flames, which is the 4th book, first, then A Court of Mist and Fury. That's my ranking. I'm not going to do all of it, but that's the order that I would put those in. But yeah, I just, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really pleased I picked up the reread. It was such a good idea, and you know what? This is a book that I have binged several times in a day, so actually taking it slowly and annotating it for the first time is really enjoyable, and it just gives me that bit more of an insight into it all, and yeah, it's good. So I'm hoping that I will finish this by the end of the week, and then next week with the new vlog we can start off the November TBR. But yeah, it's fun. You know what, that's something I've really enjoyed actually, is the last couple of months it's happened where the last week I take to not start my next month's TBR unless I'm really excited and there's a book I just cannot wait to get to. And I also stop the month TBR that I'm on. So like, for instance, I've stopped my October TBR, I haven't started my November TBR, and I'm just having a book that's a random. And I like doing that. It's like a nice little mood read moment. Sometimes it works really well, like now. Other times, like October, we actually had it go quite far into the month because I ended up being ill. Anyway, that was a tangent. We don't need to know this. I'm actually really hungry, so I'm thinking I'm going to do some lunch and then I need to do some food shopping. Hiccup. That was food shopping. So I need to do some food shopping. I was actually going to wait till Sunday, but I've realised I have nothing to eat for work tomorrow, so I should probably get some lunch for work tomorrow. Yeah, okay. Oh, you know what? No, I'm gonna keep quiet, but I'm so excited for Saturday. I'm so excited, but I'm gonna keep quiet and we're just gonna show you it because it's gonna be such a good time. The plan today is read 50 pages of The Bullet That Missed, see if I can add to my mind map that I've got going on, read more of this, and potentially edit one more video, but that's it. It's a nice chill day before work tomorrow, and that is exactly what I need. So, lunch. I don't know why this is on my bed. I need to put that away, but lunch, food shopping, chill, plan. Good morning. It's been a couple of days, to be honest. Friday I was so tired after work, I really didn't feel like updating, and then Saturday I was way too busy because yesterday when I finished work I came home, got changed and went straight back out because we had the candle lit orchestra and it was so amazing. We went to a Halloween event and it was so good. They did some really old classical pieces which I loved, but they also did some slightly more modern things. Like we had the Addams Family, you had Nightmare Before Christmas, you've got Beetlejuice, they even did like the Rocky Horror Show, the Time Warp. Like there was such good music. It was really fun. Both me and my partner loved it and would highly recommend going. It was only an hour, so beforehand we had dinner because it wasn't until 7 in the evening, and the restaurant we went to, so good. Like the best pasta dish I've ever had. I'm so happy we went there. It was brilliant. It's a bit more difficult to actually get into because this is a place where they don't take book-ins and it gets really busy really quickly, so you have to scan a QR code and enter an online queue and then you've just got to wait. So it was a bit hit or miss whether we would actually get in time before, but the service was impeccable, it was really fast and the food was delicious and we made it in time for the orchestra, so it was definitely worth it. Really pleased we went. It was just such a good night. That was brilliant. But let's talk about books. I've only read 100 more pages since I last updated you with the bullet that missed, but I didn't read the 50 pages for yesterday. I was just too busy. I knew I wasn't going to fit it in, so I mentioned it to Christina and we've kind of left it as whether she got to read 50 pages yesterday, I need to find out. Will depend on whether I just catch up and do 100 pages today or whether we just push it back a day and just do the usual 50 pages. So I'm going to find out from her. But where I got up to, we're on page 252, chapter 50, and there has been so many developments. So we find out a bit more about Victor, why this mystery man who's called the Viking wanted him dead. There is so much mystery around who the Viking is. There have been a couple of tidbits, but when I say a couple, I mean literally just a couple. I feel like there's been more just development in terms of like characters. There's been some lovely cute moments, like one which isn't a spoiler or anything. Ron ends up going to a spa day and his like reaction to it and everything was just hilarious. There's just been lots of little warm, cozy, heartfelt moments like that. So not much in the development of the actual mystery, like me being able to solve it or stuff. Like everything's pretty much where I left it when I did the spoiler part of this vlog. And yeah, that is where we're at. Nothing's really been added to that. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this, just the cozy, enjoyable vibes. But yeah, depending on today, it will either be 50 or 100 pages left to read. I don't think we have much of this left to go. Yeah, we're about 2/3 of the way through, so I think we've got, yeah, so it's 412 pages, so we only have 150 left to go, which will either be finishing it off Monday or it will be finishing off Tuesday, depending on how we do it. So I'm so excited, I can't wait, but that will be going into next week's vlog for the ending of that, because I will be finishing up today. However, I do have to talk to you about Court Mist and Fury. So I read quite a bit of this actually. I'm now on chapter 38, page 362. And I'm just enjoying this so much. So I was thinking about this, and if I critically look at this book, it's not great. It is not great. Like it's drawn out at times, it's a bit silly at times, and if I'm looking at this as a critical thinker, then this would only ever be a 3-star read. Like that's it. However, I just love this. I love the way Sarah J Maas does her characters. I interact with them so much. I enjoy them, and even though it is drawn out and long-winded and stuff, and this book could probably be cut down a little bit, I don't care. I want more because I love these characters so much. So is this a book that I would recommend to people when they say, oh, would you recommend me a fantasy book? Would I recommend this? No. No. If you're just getting into that fantasy bit and you just want like a really good fantasy, like, no. However, if somebody said to me that they really like romance and they want to try fantasy and they enjoy good characters but are not so bothered about the plotline, yes, Sarah J Maas for you. 100%. Especially if you're just trying to get into fantasy, I think it's a good little like dipping the toes in. And the romance part, like that is what Sarah J Maas is known for, is her romance, her smart. It just works and I have such a good time with it. To be fair, I started reading Sarah J Maas years ago. I started reading it when the 3rd Throne of Glass book was out, and that's what, like 10 years ago now, maybe? I have no idea. It's been a while. And then this series was coming out and you had the two going along side by side, and now you have her adult fantasy series going out, and it's just brilliant. I would say if you are, say you've been reading young adult a lot and you now want to start getting a little bit older, than the young adult, because some of those young adults are just feeling a bit too young. I feel like Sarah J Maas is good for that, for bridging that gap, especially like the Throne Glass series. It starts out as your classic YA, and then throughout the series it starts getting more mature. Then you hit these books and they're on that more new adult scale, and that is where I would fit it. But you have to enjoy the romance of this and the character work, because otherwise you're really not going to have a good time with this. I'm being honest. But for me, I love these. These are such nostalgia, comfort reads, and will always be that way. And so yes, there are problems, but you have to take everything I say with the reality that I have rose tinted glasses when it comes to Sarah J Maas books, and it will always be that way. So don't trust me when it comes to Sarah J Maas. I'm not impartial. I can't do it. You know, if fantasy romance is your thing, yeah, give it a try. I think it's good. The characters are great, and that's what I love about this. Anyway, that was a tangent, but I'm going to leave it there for today. I think it's been exactly a week actually, so we're going to wrap it up, and I will catch you in the next video, which I'm going to be starting straight away. So if we have made it this far, then let's put a little fox emoji. I can't wait to get back into the Will It That Miss. It's going to be so good. I've had one day away from it and I just really want to get back into it, and that's one thing me and Christina were saying, is that we both just get so excited to continue on with this book. Like every single day we're both looking forward to it. Anyway, thank you so much to Magic Mind for working with me, for challenging me. I do have a discount code, so if you are interested you can use Readingearthnymph14 to get 20% off your order. A fox is the emoji for the day, and I will leave it there. So thank you so much for watching. Please do like, comment, let me know that you're here. It really helps the channel out if you leave a comment as well, and yeah, also subscribe, that also really helps. And social media links will be linked below, and I will of course catch you in the next one.